Welcome, everyone. This is the Global Executive and Action Spot. Global Executive Network is based in New York, New York. Action Spot is based in San Jose, California, and we've come together to collaborate on a well-being channel during this time of Corona. And today's guest, Kirsten, we'd love you to give us give us a bit of an update. Talk to us about what you're doing. I understand you're doing psychological first aid training and mental health support groups globally. And would you please, talk to us for the next 15 minutes or so about some practical advice for our listeners in the time of Corona? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julia. This is such an honor. I'm so happy to be here, especially during this time of such intense emotion and, in honesty, a lot of chaos for people as we start to kind of, work through and adjust to this new normal of what does coronavirus mean for each of us individually? What does it mean for us collectively? And so I'm just really honored to be here to talk today. So my name is Kirsten Helgesen, and I'm the founder of Just a Girl. So we use technology to foster mental health and women's empowerment efforts globally. And while before, COVID-19 came around, we were doing lots of different things. It kind of pivoted in this time period to really step up and meet some of the emotional needs of people across the global community and providing ways for people to connect, collaborate, share, and to realize that we're all kind of in this together. And so how do we really utilize tools like social media to build things up? And so right now we've pivoted toward kind of three main things. One is we're building out global support groups. And this has been really interesting. I'm a big advocate for social support as a mechanism to really help people grow and to help us flourish and thrive. I don't know if people know this, but studies suggest that 75 to 90% of all of your success in everything is, it comes down to our emotions. And so in this time, if we want to actually manage coronavirus well, if we want to weather, quarantine well together, that means that we are in this in a social support structure. So managing emotions and connecting to each other are really important pieces of that. So in the support groups, what I'm doing is I've opened it up to anyone across the world who wants to participate. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of creating small groups of probably about 4 to 6 people in all different corners of the world so they can talk together about the different experiences that they're having, how can they emotionally show up for each other. It's been really interesting as we start to kind of put this together. We've had people from Lithuania, Iraq, Pakistan, India, Turkey, Paris, London, the US, all leaning into this. And so I'm excited to see those get going and encourage more people to jump in, because the more we can talk and share together, the better it'll be for all of us over the long run to start to manage those emotions. Because I know a lot of people are feeling pretty sad, they're pretty anxious, they're worried, they're angry. And so if we don't have an outlet for that, if we just kind of tuck that in and bottle it in, right, as a therapist, that's not what you need to be doing right now. We need to find ways to really channel all of that. And so I've created the support groups as a way to start helping people do that, especially those that are feeling very isolated through this process.
Kirsten, what would you say is the number one concern that people are coming to you with?
Lots of people are coming to me with questions around anxiety. How do they best manage this kind of like anxiousness that they feel that they don't know what to do with? Mm-hmm. It's been really interesting, especially I've had a lot of moms coming to me, particularly single moms, and saying, I have no idea how to manage these children on my own without school, and then I'm trying to juggle work. And so there's this overall sense of like overwhelmed, being overwhelmed and feeling anxious and just extremely stressed out. And so I think that people, before you can join a support group, anything that you're doing, it starts with how you're managing your own emotions and how you're being able to tackle your own day by day kind of a thing. And so I've been really telling a lot of people to start just like anchoring in and allowing their emotions to like come and surface and looking at them, honoring them, and letting them go and processing them in healthy ways. Because if we kind of keep bottling all of that anxiousness and worry up, it's gonna start to really like eat at us over this long kind of phase of social distancing and all of the stuff that comes with it.
So anchoring, could you talk a little bit more of that, of what that is, how that benefits people, and how does one anchor oneself?
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the worst things you can do is bottle up your emotions, put them in the corner, kind of tuck them aside, because they'll come out in really difficult ways. So anchoring means that you find ways to healthily process that emotion and to kind of recognize and honor the emotions that you're feeling in a way that like gives them a voice so that you can let them go in a healthy and productive way. So there are a couple of ways that I've encouraged people to do that. One is through meditation. You know, I know lots of people are talking about it right now, but it's a really helpful tool. So really one of the things that I like to have people do in a meditation is to kind of close their eyes and start breathing, to hold, like put their hands together, kind of like they're holding a cup, and to literally visualize them putting those emotions into a cup. And then at one by one, you know, putting their anxiety in that cup, putting their fear in that cup, putting their anger in it. And every time they put an emotion in, to really see it and deliberately stick it in there. And then, you know, you can put that cup down and walk away from it so that you can kind of basically find a way to give your emotions a voice, put them into something where you can recognize it, and then pick that up or process it when you need to. I also have people process and anchor their emotions through really simple things like visualization. And so I do a lot of disaster relief work internationally. And what I've always had people do is actually visualize emotions as bubbles. So literally by breathing, you start to kind of develop that process where every in-breath you take in, you're feeling healthy, cleansing and strong breaths. And every out breath, you're literally blowing up a bubble with your emotions in there. So all of that fear, you're blowing it into a bubble. And then as you take an in-breath, you see that bubble start to float away. And as you see it kind of float away, you realize that you're no longer going to be needing to attach to that emotion anymore. And you keep blowing bubbles with all of those emotions in you. And eventually you start seeing all of these different bubbles floating around you. And then simply it's a matter of watching those bubbles pop and seeing that you no longer need to be connected to those emotions, that you've processed to let them go. So anchoring is really all about connecting to emotion and processing it and healing it in productive ways. And so whether that's meditation, visualizing blowing bubbles, or even just going out into your yard and sticking your hands and feet in the dirt, which is called earthing, like all of these things help you to connect to yourself, connect to your emotions, ground you in the world around you, and allow you to move productively toward, you know, being a healthy, emotionally well person in your day-to-day life as we kind of tackle all of these challenges.
Earthing, I never heard it called earthing. I always thought that was called grounding, as you also called it. So that's interesting. I imagine that's just a little bit more about that last one, going outside. I think obviously, depending where you are in the country, your ability to go outside and touch the dirt might be limited. I live in Manhattan and I'm sort of trapped in here. Having said that, I think that's a really great exercise for a lot of people. Do you want to just talk one more minute about that?
Sure, absolutely. Earthing is a fantastic exercise. So I live in Wisconsin, and this week it's been like 35 and dreary, and so it's not been the best week to go earthing, but at the same time too, I feel like it's very necessary for myself right now. You literally just find a plot of land, whether it's a park or your own front yard or your flower garden, whatever it happens to be, find a patch of nature around you and take your shoes off, take your socks off, take any, if you're wearing mittens or gloves, take those off and literally like sit down on that earth, you know, sit down on that dirt and stick your feet in there. Like let your feet actually anchor into the dirt around you, the grass, feel what it feels like to have that sensation, those sensations on your toes, between your toes, on the bottom of your feet, between your fingers, you know, like really tangibly bond to that dirt, that grass, that earth below you, because in doing so, you start to connect to the big, beautiful energy that is this Mother Earth that we're a part of. And it helps you to feel more stable and grounded in who you are. I mean, I even encourage people as part of their earthing practice to like go hug a tree, which I know sounds like really silly, right? But like now is the time to get out, right?
Yeah.
Like, go find any tree, literally any tree, and just hug it. And I mean, trees are beautiful. I think that we sometimes underestimate them because they're just, these things that are around us, but they have these beautiful, big, broad networks of roots that all kind of spread out underneath us. And, there's a lot of scientific study that goes into showing that trees actually communicate as well. So when you hug a tree, think of like all of that connectivity, that communication, that goodness that's coming from those roots into the tree. Feel you absorbing that into, allow it to kind of give your emotion to it as well, because we're all in this together, and the trees are a good vessel to start really connecting to and emoting with.
I love it. Thank you. No, those are wonderful, wonderful. So we have meditation, which you talked about. I also love the cup exercise. I think that's just great. I hadn't heard that before. Really like that. I love the visualization with the bubbles. I think that's just really powerful. And I love the anchoring and the earthing. All of them are anchoring, but I love this earthing piece. So if I get in trouble for hugging a tree, I'm coming back to you. But
you can. I want to see pictures though. Like I want people to like start sharing this, right? Like
I know.
Share your dirt pictures, share your tree hugging pictures, right? Like that's how we also connect to each other even more, like that social support that's so beneficial for all of us.
Exactly. So we're gonna wrap this up now. Stu, did you have a question?
No, it's just, I think like part of that piece is that what's happened over here in the UK, I think people are having the time to actually appreciate the things around them. I haven't seen too many people hugging trees yet, but it's been interesting as some of these lockdowns have kicked in and things like that, that people are noticing the world around them. There's far more community than there's been in previous years, more conversations going on. And I think it is that time to appreciate those things that we take for granted pretty much every day of our lives as we go about our ways in businesses. So, no specific question. It was just interesting to hear all of these techniques, which, I think is so important right now as people face anxieties they haven't faced before, or they've had their existing anxieties elevated by what these events are. And coming back to one of Kirsten's earlier pieces is that, this is a global thing. Before I just came on, India's gone into lockdown, complete lockdown. So, this is affecting everybody, financially, globally, health-wise, and it's, our belief is, everybody working together and literally, appreciating those things that we may not have noticed in previous months to now.
You're right.
Well, I think sometimes we take for granted that we have everything we need within us to actually do amazing things in our life every single day, whether we're battling coronavirus and, quarantining ourselves, whatever it happens to be. We all need to kind of recognize that we have the tools within us to start making the world a better place right where we are today inside ourselves, and then spreading that out to the people around us, whether that's on social media or the people we're living with. And so, by connecting to our own emotions, to recognizing that we have everything we need in us, like that breath, all you need to do is to learn how to really breathe and visualize. It'll start to really make a big difference every day. It'll start to kind of inch in a little bit more space every day for calmness and for safety. And, every day that you do those sorts of things, it spreads it out. And so like, if you start doing those today, I guarantee in a month from now, you'll be feeling safer. You'll feel secure. You'll feel grounded and connected, and you won't be as scared. You won't be as worried or anxious. And it all starts with you today owning the tools you have in front of you and connecting to the world that you have right in front of you.
That's wonderful. I really thank you both. I really appreciate this, Kirsten. This is a wonderful summary, and thank you for all your great work and your support groups. And we're going to send all this information around, linked to our site and linked to today's discussion. So thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Julia. Sending much love to everyone.
Big hug. Take care. Virtual hug.
Virtual hug. It's like.
Take care.
I'm going out to find a tree now. I'm reporting back to you.
Absolutely. I want pictures.
All right. You take care. Thanks, Stu. Thanks, Kirsten. Take care. Bye-bye.